For educational purposes, I decided to make this video so that you know how to spot somebody who does not know what they're talking about when it comes to biomechanics. Most people tend to use descriptive terms for biomechanics in the form of kinematic variables. So a lot of coaches who don't have any formal training in biomechanics will talk about positions, and they'll say, what's more efficient versus inefficient as it relates to biomechanics. And they're missing other key components when they're talking about biomechanics, okay, which is a subset of physics, all right? And I will tell you firsthand, I received a master's in strength and conditioning, or, if you want to call it exercise science, that's generally what I call it, where about 50% of my coursework was in biomechanics. Okay, so I took advanced biomechanics courses. I took injury in biomechanics courses. I took a lot of strength and conditioning principle courses as well. And I even got exposure to a biomechanics lab. And even for me, okay, somebody who's actually been in a biomechanics lab, who's had experience in an advanced biomechanics course, I would not say that I am an expert in biomechanics whatsoever. Somebody who would have more background in that is going to be somebody who has a master's in biomechanics or a PhD in biomechanics, and more likely somebody who has a PhD in biomechanics, because again, we're talking about physics here. This is a core science. This is a hard science, as it's called, in this kind of setting. And I met some professors that were incredible in that field, and very, very, very intelligent. So when I hear somebody talking about positions and they're just relating it to proper biomechanics or more efficient biomechanics, they're missing a lot of the variables that are more descriptive versus just talking about positions of what the body is doing from a visual representation standpoint. And when we look at some of this stuff, we know that there are individual variables. So depending on somebody's anthropometrics, so their actual height, their limb length, all of that, because it's going to change some of the angular positions that are happening, some of the torques that are going to be happening, the lever arms, all of these different types of things, again, physics standpoint, that are going to affect the forces that are imposed on the body. And these are associated with some of the kinetic variables, all right? So the kinetic variables being some of the internal and external forces actually imposed on the body. And you can't just look at the visual standpoint of coaching and know what this stuff is. So it's really not that straightforward. I would even imagine that a lot of the folks that are talking about some of this stuff don't even really understand what, on an easier level, of what some of the EMG data, and the EMG data is not even necessarily something that is super useful within certain contexts, but EMG shows muscle excitation at the surface level, and that can be useful in different settings. But when we take a deeper look at what's happening in the human body, we know that there's deeper muscle that isn't being touched by these EMG pads that are actually measuring some of the excitation. We know that there's a difference between the concentric and eccentric portions of a movement, where that excitation is going to be different from an excitation standpoint as well as a force output standpoint. And we wouldn't know this stuff without having like force plates available, force transducers available. There's all these different types of things. There's different equations that go into this. Again, they're all physics-related equations. And maybe I'll throw up, there's an equation that we were exposed to in our advanced biomechanics course relating to inverse dynamics, which is, if you're looking at a single limb, okay, hip, knee, ankle, and you see these different forces that are being expressed, angular forces, torque, all of this stuff that's happening at each segment of a single limb, it would blow your freaking mind if you have no actual experience in measuring these things from a mathematical standpoint. And again, for somebody to just blanket statement go, this position is good because of biomechanics, and like say that term, it's like, to anybody who has any formal training in biomechanics at any real level, it's kind of nonsense. So you have to think about this stuff much more critically. And this is not to say that you as a viewer should go and learn this stuff, because unless you go and get a degree in physics, or if you go and get a degree in biomechanics, you aren't really going to understand it very well anyway. Just like I don't understand it very well anyway. I only know what I know based on my own experiences with it. My graduate project, I had to include biomechanics variables, so different things relating to sprinting, because my project was on sprinting. So I talked a lot about impulse and how that affects sprinting mechanics and how efficient sprinters are. So this is stuff that, again, it's not for everybody. And when I hear coaches who don't have any formal training start to say stuff related to biomechanics, which isn't really biomechanics, to me, that's an immediate red flag of somebody who's just like spewing nonsense. So hopefully that gives you a better idea in general terms of what to look out for when somebody's talking about this stuff. Hey everybody, if you found this video useful or interesting in any way, please give me a like and subscribe. That would help out a lot for the growth of this channel, and it'll let me know that I'm doing something that you enjoy. All right, see ya.